Bam! Billy King up. Bam!
Oh man, this is nice. There we are. Look at it. Look at us, Steins. Dude, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. I'm finding peace.
Hey, that's what it's about. At the end of our days, doesn't have to be the time we find peace. That peace is available to all of us right now, right here. Dude, I loved our talk yesterday, even though we didn't go live, everyone. Aaron and I had an epic talk.
Yeah, you didn't want to see that talk.
No, actually, they probably do, but not yet. But
right.
Dude, I was thinking more about, we were talking about like where that when I was saying that verse where Paul says, "Enter the boldly before the throne of grace." Like, where is heaven? Where is God? Is God when I pray? Is God here? Is God way up there? And it's in the spiritual side or the soul side. It's wherever we are consciously choosing to be.
Right. Yeah, because if God's up there, then that means that's where we are too, right?
Yeah.
So why travel so far? It's right here.
Dude, it's beautiful.
And again, a lot of people are going through this awakening process. And I know for me, growing up in a Catholic community, the word God and the Bible and all those things kind of didn't make sense under that umbrella.
Yeah.
So I kind of steered away from it for a long time. I don't know. Maybe one of these days, maybe we'll have a conversation about that and how the religion creates the boxes, but how the Bible and God can be outside of that box.
Yeah.
And it's more of a spiritual understanding from even a quantum physics and science level, where science and religion have been separated, but they never had to be, right?
Right. Right.
Because I came from it from a different angle of understanding universe and power of now and the law of attraction and all that kind of stuff. But it all leads back to this source energy, infinite intelligence, God. It's all in that. It doesn't matter, I guess, in the beginning what you call it, as long as you kind of start to feel that higher power, that we come from somewhere, that we have that same power within us.
Yeah.
And everybody gets there from a different path. So that's why with the Awakened Soul, we stay open to all those paths, because we're all going to the same place, which is oneness, and back to God, back to source, back to love, back to peace. What's our title today? Finding peace, right?
That's right.
It's attainable for all at any time. Just like you said, it doesn't have to be someday if I do X, Y, and Z, I can find peace.
Yeah.
No, if you sit in stillness and invite that peace in, you can find peace now. But there's a process to go through to get there, which is what we've been doing for years and years, right? All of us, whether you know it or not, we're all going through these processes. Yeah. So now we're being called to focus inward and look at those shadows and clear some of that stuff and make space for that power that we've always had.
Yeah.
To come back through, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I was asked earlier, I was a guest speaker on this 8-week mastery course for Jennifer Watson. I don't know if you follow her. I got to connect you with her. She's a beautiful soul. But she asked, the last question was, we were talking about forgiveness, and I was saying forgiveness doesn't mean accepting what someone does to you. It means to forgive, like foreknowledge, foresight, foretell, warn, and give, which is the root of love. In Hebrew is ahava, which means to give. You've heard me say it a gazillion times, but to love before, to choose love as if it never happened. And she asked, how do you forgive others? How do you do that practice? And I said, actually, I want to shift your thinking. It's not about forgiving others. It's about first receiving forgiveness. And when we're in that place of receiving forgiveness and being in the unconditional and infinite love of God, and I use the word God, anyone can use whatever word you want, but to receive that infinite and unconditional love, then as proxy, it becomes easy to forgive others. But if we're not first receiving that, then it becomes another doing, another thing I have to do, another thing I have to perform. I have to perform because if I perform, I'll be a good boy and I'll get rewarded. And that is such a old way of thinking. And for all of us, we're leaving that world. We're leaving the 3D conditional polarities behind, where we're just being. We're just being.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about all forgiveness being more of self-forgiveness, and realizing, and this is a hard one. It's a tough pill to swallow, knowing that nobody ever did anything to us.
Yep.
We've allowed and experienced for ourselves, so that forgiving outside of ourselves and hating that person and, oh, they did this to me, that gets into that program of instead of that breath and going, that person's not even thinking about me right now. I'm the one dwelling on this.
Right.
Live within them and understand that nobody did anything to me, but I allowed things to happen for me, for my experience, for my growth.
Right.
And when we just shift that little perspective, that's just one of a million perspectives we can shift to make our life easier. So do we want to be right, or do we want to be happy? Do we want to be right, or do we want to find peace? Do we want to be right, or do we want to be effective? Which is kind of more of a thing that if it's not received and there's walls up, if people aren't ready, if we're not meeting people where they're at, then we're not going to be effective.
Yeah.
And that's why we practice meeting individuals where they're at. When we work with our clients, it's an individual approach based on where they're at.
Yeah.
Because if we just blanket everybody with the same information and you're not at that place yet, and it has the reverse effect, right? And people go back into that shell going, whoa, what are you talking about? I can't go there.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's not effective.
That's right. That's right. And all of us, we talked about this yesterday too. All of us are on our own timelines. Even you and I, we create together, we co-create together, but we're on our own timelines, as is every other person on the planet. And when we acknowledge and love our own timeline, our own space, our own beingness, we can reclaim the peace. We can find that love. And like you said, when we coach people, it's not pulling them to our timeline. It's meeting them on their timeline where they are in their journey, but also acknowledging where we are is just a step to where we get to be, where we get to experience what is the fullness of the now moment, which is infinite and unconditional love, unending joy, grace for others. And I was thinking about this morning because in this meeting this morning, someone asked me, what did I learn in 2020? And I was like, dude, that's a great question. And I thought for a second, and the first thing that came to my mind was she wasn't expecting it. I go, well, this is a little odd, but the first thing that comes to my mind is we've had two neighbors in this neighborhood. Their dogs have been killed by coyotes. And then we had a friend years ago whose dog got killed by coyotes, and all three dogs died the exact same way. And what happens is the one coyote comes out and gets the dog's attention, barks and gets the dog's attention. The dog goes and engages that one coyote, but that one coyote that barks is never the coyote that kills the dog. It's the coyotes that come from behind and take the dog out. And I said, what I learned in 2020 is that everything is barking for my attention. And that's not the real issue. It's everything else that is behind, around. And I woke up to, even more so, choosing me and allowing those distractions to stay by the wayside. The dog that doesn't engage with that first coyote is still alive today. The dogs who engage with that coyote die. And so that's what I learned in 2020, I would say, is that there are many things that call for my attention that are not worthy of my timeline that are not worthy of my peace.
Right. And when you're focused on that, the barking coyote, then you're not watching your six, right?
Yeah.
That was for Rob.
Yeah.
If he's listening to this one.
Watch your six, Rob.
Watch your six, right?
That's
But
right.
that's such a great analogy. And it's so true because all we're seeing is barking.
Yep.
And then wondering why people are in pain. It's because they're so focused on the barking.
Yeah.
And they're not seeing the backdoor things that are coming through. And you know what? We don't even need to, we all know at this point what's coming in the back door.
Yeah.
To try to take us out of our power, our divine sovereignty, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we want to focus on.
It's
I know you have to jump, so we want to make sure this one doesn't go too long. But I do want to say, like, we really enjoy the engagement with everyone, and I want to start offering out to you guys to if you feel, if you've noticed, we've had guests on Fridays, and we'll continue to do that. If you feel like you are ready to share your story, your awakening journey, send me a private message and let's talk about it. I want you guys to start coming on as a guest here and there as well and sharing your awakening journey. Because listen, I know as I've been going through it, I was looking for anybody to tell that. It's fascinating, but also it's isolating in some ways. I know, again, now more than ever, there are more people awakening around us. But 14, 15 years ago, it was a pretty lonely journey. However, we like to talk about it. And that's also how we grow, right? Don't hold it in. So I want to give you guys an opportunity as well to tell your story. So if you guys want to reach out, if you feel like you want to be a guest on one of these Fridays, send us a message and we'll work that out. But I want you guys to get more involved, right? You don't have to do this alone, and speaking it out and getting it out and understanding that you are not alone. And even though the journeys are different, there's a essence of similarity in all of it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's beautiful, brother. Well, happy Thursday, man. We did it. Another beautiful day, another beautiful live. And thank you for everyone that watched. Just blessings to you on your journey.